Hello and welcome to another episode of ZED Talks, Leaguecast Fixes Champions. This week we will be talking about Janna, Jarvan, Jax, Jayce, Jhin, and Jinx. It's the J episode. Joining me this week is Jolton, Blue Asket Sweat.
Jello.
And I can't say that. Nick the King Cooper.
Hey,
I think Jick the King Cooper is not okay to say.
I thought you were going to say Jing
Nick the
Jardout.
Jing. Nick the Jing.
Jing Jardout would have been good.
Jing Jardout. Jing Jardout would have been perfect.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
funny.
Do you guys want to just jump right into it with Janna?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How do we fix this hot pile of garbage characters?
This hot woman.
I don't know. It's tough because I feel like she fits a role that needs to exist in League, but she's never going to be a character that is fun to play, probably with or against.
So I think to me the biggest, like, I think her W is an easy place to start because point and click like does damage and slows, but it gives you movement speed when it's off. Like, that's just weird. Like, it had its place, but like I think that's the easy place to start. In that the W needs to change. I think the ultimate is like, I think a lot of her kit is fine, but what I don't want is for Janna to ever be a character that you can just stack AP on and deal a lot of damage.
Yeah.
What do you think about her tornado grounding when someone's like using a movement ability, and her ult grounding someone when they're using a movement ability? Like, meaning, like, say if someone like dashes at you and you tornado them, it grounds them. Like,
okay,
I would
like it.
So, like, my logic here, just to give you like my point of reference, is what's the fun parts about Janna's kit? What are the unfun parts? The unfun parts are the parts where the character plays herself, shielding someone,
Shield and W.
throwing slows, whatever. Even like just charging up basic tornadoes, like pretty like boring, or using your ult to heal. Those are boring mechanics. The cool parts of her kit are like actually stopping plays, right? Like using her as a peel character is like actually kind of fun. Like, I know Janna mains get a lot of shit, but like good Janna, like there's a huge difference between bad Janna players and good Janna players.
Absolutely.
Bad Janna players are still good because the character's like very, very strong. But good Janna players like make the character look broken.
Yeah. So
I would just love to have a mechanic that like you actually have to use your Q or your ult or whatever to like do better, or like even if the shield was bigger but had like a decay or something like that, you know, like stuff like that.
I think one thing you could do is make it maybe not so much that it's grounded, but like if the Q or the ultimate like hits you while dashing, maybe the CC is just longer, right? So like it's a flat knock back if you're around her, but if you dash and she interrupts the dash with it, maybe you're stunned for a second.
You know, it'd be super fun, but probably cancer. But I would love it. If you're like in the middle of a dash or whatever, you're kind of like airborne, right? So if you hit her with the Q, it takes them to the end of the Q.
Oh, it just brings them into the tornado with it?
Yeah, and it puts like all the way to the end of it. Like, that's kind of sick.
I think that would actually be fine. I don't think it would go the like. I don't think you could do the full distance, but it could definitely be like it knocks back like a number of units depending on how long you charge it. Yeah. So if it's an instant cast, all it does is pops them up. But if it like is a full charge tornado, it like brings them with.
I think that's a cool idea.
I think that's cool because then that's like if you start an early tornado in a team fight, you can just like carry away their tanks from your back line.
Yeah, it's actually so fucking sick.
I think if they did that, then the ultimate probably wouldn't have as wide of a knockback. I think you have to make the knockback of it like just around her, and the heal can still be as huge as it is. But
you could make so many fucking plays with that. Ulti into tornado. That'd be so sick.
I feel like you could do some fun stuff too with like maybe this is like, maybe we're going too far, and maybe it's going to be like more like a cannon clone or like whatever at this point. But what if there was a mechanic where like she like does storms and shit, right? So your ult is a heal, right? But when you don't have your W with you, it's like damage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have it so like if you throw your W on an enemy, right? It like your ult turns into like a damage thing rather than a heal thing.
I like that.
Like just like anything. I just want her like supports are very, very easy. Like, okay, not to like shit on support mates, but the reality is
easy.
Any pro player who plays like mid, top, jungle, whatever, could be a top level support mate. And I don't think the same is like the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I think a really good example of this is Huhi, right? Where he's actually popping off on support.
And it's not like the guy was the best mid player either.
Yeah, he was probably the best professional Aurelion Soul. But I'll give him that.
Like, the reality is, like, you have, like, the fakers, the caps, the perks, whatever.
Yeah.
Those players could all be, like, best in their server, or, like, one of the best in, like, their, like, region, like, support players. And
caps on a playmaking support? Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we just need to constantly give, like, supports more playmaking potential rather than just kind of being, like, waddle around ward CC bots. And, I don't know, even, like, a character like Janna, who's kind of, like, the epitome of this, like, give her options. Like, options are so sick in the game.
Mm-hmm. So I think maybe make her ultimate, like, it knocks you off if you're directly on top of her. So, like, maybe the range of, like, Alistar Q, where if you're within that range, it'll pop you just to the edge of that range so that you can actually peel. And then everything inside the storm, which would be, like, the same size as it is now, maybe heals allies, slows enemies. Or, like, it could slow enemies, it could give them, like, a debuff to damage or to the resistances. Like, there's a lot that you could make it, but it's some minor debuff. I really liked your idea with the Q, where maybe, like, like the size would probably get bigger, and then it would be more of a knockback than a knockup, and the knockback scales with duration. Do we want to change her E, or is it still just a point-and-click shield?
I think it should be a point-and-click shield, whether or not it should be, like, maybe bigger in decays or something like that, where, like, I mean, it's, 3 seconds right now, I believe?
And it does decay.
They forgot they, like, added the decay, right? It doesn't decay very much, though, does it? John, let me look her up. I don't know what her numbers are.
It decays kind of quickly, actually.
John is not a character that I ever want to play. So she shields herself or allied characters for 5 seconds and decays over the duration after 0.75. So it's only a full shield for like 1 second, then over the next 4 seconds it decays. That's pretty big, actually.
How do you feel about so I feel like she is the perfect character for having a wind wall. But maybe not a wind wall, maybe a, like, projectiles. She channels in a, I don't know, like a in an area, and the projectiles coming at her are, like, moved around, sort of like airlines on a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're redirected around Janna.
I mean, you could do that with their ult. Like, I don't know if they have the ability to make something like that, but, like, that would be really cool. Like, so a Syndra ults, right? And you ult, and, like, all the orbs just, like, scatter around the ult.
Yeah.
Like, if they had the ability to do that,
I don't know if that'd be healthy. Yeah, I don't know if that would be healthy on Janna.
I don't think it's bad, though, right? Like, it's a support, and you have to be in, like, the fight to be able to do that, right?
Yeah. And I think having it locked to, like, you can only do this while channeling, and, like, you can't take other actions would be sort of the benefit behind it.
I think another way you could potentially do it is make it, well, I guess, really what you're saying, where it's like a channel in a direction. I'm thinking kind of like Ornn W.
Yeah.
Where, she's blowing wind in that direction. It's a channel, and either it stops projectiles, I feel like it could just stop them or send them around,
I think that's probably the way to balance it, but I would like to see it send him around, I guess, because I think that adds to counterplay where, okay, now they're lined up, for future projectiles.
At the very least, it doesn't, like, pop them entirely or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so her W and passive, what do we want to do with this? Because I think the W definitely needs a change. I think it could, like I hesitate to just give her, like, a straight passive, but I think already with Q, E, and R, she's got a lot. So that being said, I think what you could potentially do is, I
was just gonna say, like, what if you, like, take the AD off her shield and, like, put it to, like, allies who, like, run through her, like, Q or whatever, get buff, like a small AD buff. Like, obviously way forward. I think, like, that it being 40, like, right now, like, is, like, way too much still. It used to be way more. It used to be, like, 80, right?
Her, like, old Galio E, where she just creates, like, a wind tunnel where you, like, run fast through it.
That'd be cool.
And maybe, like, while you're... I'm just trying to think of, like... something where it's like utility but not crazy. Like I feel like it would be that, and it just wouldn't deal damage. Like it's literally just like here's a line that you run fast through in one direction.
Maybe move speed and a little bit of attack speed if we take away the AD on her shield.
I still think I guess we could take away the AD on her shield.
Aiden just flirted with that idea. So
yeah,
I just think it's kind of a boring mechanic.
Run with it. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and
I think it sort of gates her into only playing with AD carries as well.
I mean, it's a relic of the past, right? It's like I buff AD carry, we go together.
And I think it's something that you could then move into her passive, where it could be like your allies get movement speed towards you or champions you've CC'd, and then you could also make it like they also deal bonus damage to champions you've CC'd or something.
That'd be cool.
With like the Q, it's like if you've knocked up or knocked back an enemy champion, they're vulnerable for 2 seconds or something. As well as your allies run faster towards them.
I like it.
Janna's fixed.
Hell yeah. Fixed. Next is Jayce, I believe. I don't have
Jarvan.
Jarvan. I've got it pulled up. Perfect character. Move on.
I think he's close to a perfect character. I think he's really well done. I think his only like super not even problematic, just boring and dog shit skill is his W.
Yep, his W needs to be fixed for sure.
But I feel like the way his abilities interact with each other are actually, like, at the time were pretty innovative, I suppose, given Riot's like standards. I think the only comparison was Orianna, but I think she came out after Jarvan did.
Jarvan
I don't know. It's close, yeah.
Sure.
But I think like that interaction between abilities and combo potential is like something that is really good for the game and gives Jarvan a good identity and high skill like cap as well, despite being a pretty simple champion.
So a couple things I would personally like to see. I would love for his ultimate to be a longer range you can cast it at. It's a wider circle and the walls are thicker. I want the whole thing to be bigger. Like it should
just bigger.
It should feel like
it should just scale with rank.
Well, yeah, even that, yeah. Like it is as it is now, but like you get more range, and particularly I think having the wall be thicker is important because there's like the smallest dashes in the game can get over that damn wall, where you should really feel trapped in it. Or at the very least, you could do something where it's like, for the first half second, you're grounded, or for the first 1 second. Like
I was gonna say, grounding the person you targeted, maybe not the entire team.
I think that would be fine. And again, it doesn't need to be for the full duration, because grounding them for like the 5 seconds. But I think that if it was like the first second, or even like half second, like allow him to pull off the wombo combo. Where instead of like you press R and they flash away and they don't even get damaged, like that sucks.
Yeah, make it so if he clicks it on you, you get damaged by it. That's kind of wild.
The only other things I was thinking, like, I'm not sure how. I feel like the EQ into ult, there's a little bit of a delay there that I would like to see, like, opened up in terms of, animation times. With I think a good comparable example being Lee Sin. Where, like, you can, Q towards them, and while you're flying, you can then ward W. Like, I should be able to cancel my Q to ult.
Yeah.
If I want to, as part of my combo. Other than that, his W needs to be fixed. It does no shielding.
Yeah, his W's boring.
It does,
his
like...
W scales with number of enemy characters nearby, and I think it's, like, 50 each character.
Yeah, it's... Like, make it an actual tank ability. I think Jarvan should be more of a tank than damage.
Honestly, it should just be, like, a taunt. Like, maybe that's too much CC in a character, but imagine him with, like, Galio taunt.
What if we just kept it, like, similar? Like, it can be a shield or whatever, but what if it grounds?
I think, that was the other option.
I'd be so sick.
Is you can make it, like, don't give his ultimate a ground, but his W is a ground.
Like then you can have your thing where like it kind of fixes your wall mechanic, because I feel like his W fits in his entire like alt, right? I would assume. Like I'm not.
It does. Yeah, it overlaps.
And it only lasts a couple seconds, like a second or two, like the animation or whatever. You could just have it like ground for a second. I feel like that would solve a lot of the issues.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot, actually.
I would still want the shield to be increased, and
yeah, the shield's baby shield.
Like it should be a bigger shield. I think even if you wanted to give him like slight damage reduction, obviously we don't want it to hit like Garen levels, but to me, Jarvan should be a tank in my mind.
Give it a long ass cooldown.
Yeah, you could do that too,
of course.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's some good things. I also think maybe clearing up the hitboxes and the range in which you gain attack speed on his E would be pretty nice. I don't even know if his E needs to give attack speed. Do you guys think that that's a necessary part of his kit? Like, obviously it's there so he can clear the jungle.
I was thinking...
He used to give armor and attack speed, so yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys think about... We could just... What would the E's like kind of... I guess like the E has like attack speed because it's kind of like literally just a pole. If it's not... so maybe the attack speed can stay. I was going to say like you could also just make it so like his passive has like these things. You know what I mean? Like when you proc your like passive auto, you get like a little bit of attack speed or whatever. Like your... Ooh,
okay.
I also would like to see that be AoE. Is that crazy or no?
I don't think so.
Like I don't know. I feel like it would just like help with jungle. Like it's just like it doesn't. It's not like overpowered. Like Galio has a version of it. Like others, it's just outdated. I think
it is.
Yeah, I think his passive auto could definitely be AoE, or it could also be like after you proc the passive auto, you gain bonus attack speed for like 2 seconds or something,
or it crushes armor or something like that. Like anything.
I think it'd be cool to have it be that your passive auto gives you bonus attack speed for like a second or next 3 autos or something, because then you're very much in like the Lee Sin realm where that feels good when you're like balancing your passive autos, where you're like auto attack the big wolf, slap auto attack the small wolf to get more attack speed, and then go back to the big one.
Can you say wolf again?
Wolf. I said wolf and wolf.
You said wolf one time. The big wolf.
I definitely said wolf. But I think that would be interesting. And then I think you could, for the E, obviously you still want flag and drag. I think the fact that it gives you vision is cool. And I don't know. I think that it giving just your teammates attack speed, like, I don't know if that really fits to me. I don't know what else you put on it, but
it's like we all agree that it doesn't need it, but then at that some point it's just like a flag that you drop that does magic damage.
But I mean, is that so bad?
I mean, it makes it so it's an ability you don't have to level, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like,
well, the thing is, like, I don't think there's like we're not saying Jarvan's overpowered because he gives AoE attack speed, right?
Yeah.
No.
Like, I don't think there's any reason to remove it, I suppose, unless we replace it with something better. But I don't know if there's anything better that we need to put on there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it works with his whole thematic, like, leader of, like, he's the leader of this army,
combat
right?
leader. I think you could potentially make it be like it gives like tenacity or something.
That'd be fine.
Again, because I'm trying to push him into more of a tank, initiator role, because like that's always been, I think, what Jarvan is supposed to be, and it's just sometimes the numbers are just so that he can go electrocute lethality and one hit everything.
I mean, his numbers have always been high. He has really actually really good scaling, considering his kit.
I mean, I think like ground, like if his W grounded, I think that'd be huge.
Yeah.
I
honestly think like that could be the only change, and that would be fine.
You could maybe. What if you made the E ground?
I was thinking,
because then that starts your combo, right?
What if you made the E mimic your W, so your W would cast off of yourself and your flag.
Oh, I like that.
That's pretty smart.
Maybe the flag applies to teammates.
Well, yeah, you could just then make your shield like. It could be even the same shield value that it currently is if it also shields teammates.
That's what I'm saying.
And it could just go around the flag and him.
I like that a lot. Dope. I think it makes the flag not boring.
That makes the flag so much cooler if it mimics his W and the W ground.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because then again, like your EQ combo is actually a little bit more consistent, as well as letting you actually get like a ulti in, and they don't just get a free dash out every single time.
Mm-hmm.
That actually just gives him so much depth, because then he can like open with his ulti, W to ground and still have EQ, or open with EQ then have W then ulti. Like there's so much potential there versus what he currently has now, which is to gap close from 2 screens.
And it allows him to use E in a team fight without fully engaging, right? Like you could just EW, right, to ground them, as opposed to like now the only way you go in on Jarvan is if you full commit.
Yeah.
Unless I guess if you like ulti and then EQ out, but that's kind of. So yeah, Jarvan. We've just created Jarvan the 5th because he's new and improved.
True.
Next is Jax. They both memed me. I said, I think Jax is a perfect character, and they said, okay, well, we'll talk about that one.
I don't think you're too far off. My only issue is I don't like dodge, and I don't like that he's the only character in the game that dodges. But otherwise, I think he's fine.
Like, I think he's like supposed to be like a simplistic character. Like everything's very basic. Like the Q being able to jump a little bit, auto reset, like empowered that does magic damage to like fit in some magic damage in his kit. I think his E is a little bit cancer. I feel like it's one of those abilities that could be a longer cooldown. It's one of those. So I have this theory with Camille that how Camille's seeing pro play, like a lot of pro play right now. Her W could get double the cooldown, and she'd still be a good character. And I feel like Jax is one of those characters as well. I feel like his E is like one of those abilities that just has way too much power in its kit, and he's just being untouched because he's not overpowered. But I feel like it's not a bad ability. Like I think it's just like invulnerable. It's invulnerable while he can hit, right? Is there any other characters that are invulnerable while they can hit? Maybe not.
Old Kale, but not anymore.
Yeah, so maybe there isn't too many. But like I feel like it's not a... Like, calling it dodge, yeah, it is dodge, right? It's just dodging from auto attacks. You can still get hit by abilities. But I feel like there have been characters in the game that have been like able to be invulnerable while hitting. And this is kind of a lesser version of that.
It's just not fun. Like, it's not a fun mechanic, I think. I don't think anyone ever feels like, oh, I'm so glad I activated my E so I could dodge auto attacks.
Yeah,
so,
it's maybe,
unless you're playing against, like, Fiora.
Maybe it's too much power for, like, a E ability. Like, probably.
So I think that there's a couple ways you can go about it. One of the other things I want to mention, other than dodging all basic attacks, it also reduces area of effect damage by 25%, which really sucks when you're like, it's like he presses E and you're like, well, I just can't really hurt him right now. I think one thing you could do is that if you CC him, maybe it doesn't necessarily cancel it, but it stops the stun from going. Like, he has to activate the stun. If it expires before he activates it, it doesn't go.
I would like that change a lot, actually.
Right, because then it gives you counterplay, especially in a 1v1, where it's just like, cool, we've started a trade, and literally I just have to run away from him while his E is up. Like, I can't auto-attack him, my abilities do a third damage, or like 30% less damage, and even if I, like, stun him, he's going to still stun me. So I think if you made him activate it, or if you made it just like a fixed timer and it doesn't stun if you CC'd him during. Because that's one of the other things, is like, because he can cast it at any point during that, it's really hard to play around, where it's like, all right, well, he can Q and do it immediately for the stun, and if I, don't flash out then I'm screwed. But then if he just flashes after, he can still extend it.
Yeah, well, it does have a 1 second like recast time, but other than that, yeah.
But right, like that point of like that window of you can't even necessarily play around when it goes off.
I mean that's the only reason I know that, like, is because that's why the Shen matchup is like super Shen favored, is because it's a really bad matchup. But if you realize that it has a 1 second recast timer, the way it works is as soon as he uses E, you walk like melee range of him, like as close as you can, then you taunt through him, and then you get a free like trade. But like that's like one of the only characters in the game that can like deal with it like that, that are melee. That being said, I feel like it's not bad to have a character in the game that like is a counter to auto attackers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I really do think like playing shit like Lysandra into him and like mages like Cassiopeia and shit is like really, really good, and I feel like it's super underutilized.
Yeah, absolutely. It
doesn't mean it doesn't feel like dog shit if you get counterpicked. Don't get me wrong. But
that's the thing, is like 50% of the time you get counterpicked. Like, oh, I'm just gonna pick a safe. Like, I'm gonna pick Set. Oh, they picked Jax. Now my lane is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Or most top laners for that matter. I don't know. How do you guys feel about like he's able to use abilities but not auto attack while he's using his E. I mean, maybe that's too much of a nerf, I guess.
I mean, it's a pretty big nerf, but it's not like awful. I mean, it like puts him in line with every other character in the game that has a similar mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the other option is just make it like he takes just, reduced damage from auto attacks. Like he takes 70% reduced damage from auto attacks, like 30% reduced damage from abilities.
That would be fine, yeah.
Counter-Strike up. Because then you can still do something about it, but he's also still like nutty fighting.
What if it stored damage?
Up. Oh, and then like what would it do? Like reactivate it?
Yeah, and like the reactivation. I mean, it would be a Counter-Strike, right?
So it does that. The damage of the ability is increased based on how many attacks he dodges. Yeah.
Oh, it's only 100. That's like, I don't know. It's a pretty weak ability still.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the strength in it is dodging auto attacks. Yeah. In my opinion.
I think. I mean that's the strongest part of it. In terms of other issues with Jax, personally, I hate that he has so much strength built into just stacking passives. Like he gets
that is true, yeah.
He gets at level 18, what is this? 88% attack speed from his passive. And then, every third auto does 1 billion damage. And
don't forget the free armor and MR from his ult.
70-70.
Yeah, like 70-70
that scales
plus bonuses off of his stats. So I think what you do with that is maybe like make his passive the bonus armor and magic resist, where it's just like, and again probably like gets bigger while in combat, and maybe then move his ultimate to just be like combat stance and everything is just increased.
Maybe
I don't know, but. Like, again, I just feel like I don't think he's bad by any means. I mean, I think he is a good design. There's just a lot of frustrating things about Jax.
He's just like an old character, right? Like he's very basic in everything. Like nothing's confusing about him, I guess. Like other than like if you don't know numbers, like maybe it's confusing why he gets 70-70 resist when he fights you.
His entire kit is auto attack you a bunch of times and tools to make that happen better, right? Q lets him close. W lets him reset. Ulti makes, the third auto attack do a bunch of damage. Passive makes him attack real fast. E lets you just stay in the fight for 2 seconds longer because you're not taking any damage. Right? Like, his entire thing is just bop them a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
But...
I'm super glad that's in the game, though. I feel like it's really good to have, like, a couple of those.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Like, season 1, maybe we have too many of those, you know what I mean? But, like, now I feel like they're doing a good job of removing most of them, and I would like to have a couple left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Do we want his Q to not be able to target like allies or wards or something?
No, I like it. I feel like it's good to have.
It as well.
The only confusing part is that some abilities can't do it, I guess, but like some other characters like that have similar things. But that's about it. I think it's fine. Cool.
All right, Jax.
Jhin. Oh, sorry. Jayce.
I don't think we need to change anything about Jayce, to be honest. I think he's a super hard early game, like high skill cap champion that falls off pretty hard late. Mm-hmm. And I think while maybe not the healthiest for the game overall, there needs to be champions like that. So if that's his role, that's fine.
And I think everything even around it is balanced. Like switching between the things. Like I normally you'd find that being a boring mechanic. Like what does Nidalee? Nidalee gets nothing for. Does Nidalee get anything for switching? Actually, do you guys know?
I think she gets bonus move
speed. Maybe. I think Jayce like just getting like a little bit of movement speed, then having like the empowered auto like for like I think that's in his actual gun in his Q passive. Maybe what passive is that in? I don't even know where it is.
It's his ultimate passive.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and then when he's in range form, he shreds armor and MR.
Yeah, like it just feels well put together. Like both like different things make sense, right? You have a ranged kind of more glass cannon, like higher DPS form, and then you have like a more like bruiser form. You could maybe argue that his bruiser like hammer form abilities are a little bit too strong, I guess, but I feel like they're fine.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're fine too. I really don't think we have to change anything about Jayce.
What about his W? His W is boring as fucking hammer form. That's about it.
Yeah, his W is boring as fuck, I think, in both. Like, cool. Like,
I like his W in the other form.
It's fun to have cap attack speed, yeah, but I don't think it is like necessarily great. So
it makes me so mauled when I see like a Jayce in gun form shoot a pink ward, and then they use their W before they auto it the first time. Because it's faster, because like your auto goes off the first time, and then it resets it, and then you get the 3 autos. So you get 4 fast autos, but people fucking use it before, and then they only get 3 fast autos, and that's just a mistake. That's just playing your character wrong.
You just wasted a quarter of a second, dumb. Okay, so I want to jump back to his passive transformation. I like that it gives the movement speed. I like the empowered auto attack after a swap. I personally... I would like to see them swap the shred and the bonus damage, where I think it, like, if you want to give him an armor shred, like, make him commit for it. Because I think armor shred is actually really strong. And I think the idea of, like, getting up close and personal and damaging somebody's armor with your massive hammer makes more sense than, look at me, I poked you with an electricity blast. To me, that makes more sense.
I guess. I just think in lane having access to that bonus damage would be much, much more powerful.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot you can do in lane with, I don't know, 5% less armor and MR versus what is it, like 50 extra damage or something?
The reality is the transform characters with like 6 abilities need a couple shit abilities. You can't have 6 fucking god gamer abilities.
Yeah.
No, but I think then you could move it to where it applies on first auto attack or first ability. You'd have to then lower the damage, but I don't know. I think that would be... I think that would be better personally, where it's just like, okay, yeah, you switch to range form, you shoot like the full range shock blast. It does a little bit extra damage, but it's not a lot. And then again, like if you go in and combo, you shred their armor and you can do your things. I don't know. I don't think, again, he needs a lot of changes. I think his W is a bit boring, but because his Q and E are so strong in both forms, right, like it compensates. I kind of want to take away him getting mana back on autos for his melee W.
Yeah, no way.
Like, okay.
It rewards him for staying melee.
Yeah. I want him to stay melee as much as he can.
yeah, like we should be incentivizing his melee playstyle.
I agree with that, but my issue with it is, I think with a lot of mana involving things in the game, is like a little bit of lack of clarity, where it's just like, okay, cool, Jayce has like 20 mana, and then he's just like in the middle of a wave hitting stuff, and like, oh wait, he just comboed me. And again, like if you're skilled, that won't happen. But I maybe that's just more seeing mages that have like 2,000 mana, and you see their bar is incredibly low, but they still full combo you.
Yeah, I think that's more to do with mages, because Jayce typically doesn't build mana immune. He can, but it's typically
old
just
days he did, yeah.
lethality, right?
Yeah.
So also, I think his mana bar is a pretty accurate representation currently.
Like he gets 6 scaling to 16 mana per auto. Like it's not insane by any means. Like,
no, it's not huge, but I guess to me it's just like, well, then just increase his max mana or lower his costs and get rid of that dumb thing.
Yeah, once again, I just think it's a good way to keep him in hammer form instead of staying range form all lane.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sweet.
Cool. Next we have Jhin.
Perfect champ, move on.
I also don't think we should change anything about it. Maybe his E, but his other abilities are so strong that having a dog shit ability like his traps like feels fine, I guess.
Like, okay, so you don't use it in like a team fight, but it just like makes you safe in lane phase, right? Because it's a free ward that slows.
Yeah. My only concern is that I don't want any character to be able to walk all the way through it with no boots and be able to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't walk from one side to the other like without boots and not take any damage. So maybe increase the slow a little bit or decrease the activation time.
I think make it pop faster, and then.
But that sounds cancer because it does 1 billion trillion damage.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, and then lower the damage.
Okay.
Or make it not stackable.
Have you seen the videos of the Jhin mid mains, Nick? That build Dorn's ring first, so that they get AP, so that their adaptive damage from their runes give them AP. So when a jungler ganks them, they have a bunch of flowers in one spot. so that they'll immediately stun them and kill them. It's such a cool mechanic. I love that. That's so the thing. Yeah. I love the adaptive force. I love abusing shit like that. Yeah. It's so cool.
I like that too. It's a very interesting mechanic. I know that was the Jhin Earth build for a while. If you weren't running fast, you just build AP, put a bunch of traps down, and then try to get someone with your W.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like Jin's fine.
That, I think he's fine. Yeah,
his ult's great. His 4-shot autos I think are great. I do think his scaling on his passive damage is a little fucky, but I feel like it has to be a little fucky. I just think late game when his autos do with crits 2,000 damage, you know what I mean? It's a little bit silly, but
they also make him run Mach 10.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's maybe you could lower that cap a little bit, but once again, that's all number stuff. I feel like kit wise, I wouldn't change anything about him.
Yeah, I think his kit is pretty fine. Does he get any mana back for killing things with his Q?
No.
I would add that.
I guess, but
I don't know, it just feels really shitty to be entirely on Jhin. And because you have an attack speed limiter, last hitting under tower can be really difficult. So I think if he killed 4 minions with his Q, if he got half of the cost back.
Colton, I adore that moments ago you wanted to get rid of Jayce's mana
16,
restore
6 mana on auto. 6 mana on
6 mana on auto because you max it last, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Depending on the game. But I think
I feel the same way because being out of mana on Jhin feels worse than most other AD carries because then your auto attacks do even less. You have nothing to follow it up with.
And that's the thing is that I feel it feels a lot worse on Jhin, and rewarding you for killing a minion I am so much more fine with than let's say the Jayce solo kills you top and he's he used all of his mana to do so, but then he pushes a wave into tower, turns melee form, hits the tower, let's say 10 times, which isn't terribly hard to do when you have max attack speed with W. You can switch then to melee. You can just be back to full mana by the time that person gets to lane, or back to half. Again, it's not a lot, but rewarding you for just slapping anything, slapping a ward, slapping a tower, hitting a jungle camp. If you want to make it, if you last hit, you get mana back, I'm way more fine with.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Oh yeah, Jin's perfect.
Sense. True.
Speaking of perfect characters,
I feel like Jinx is the first character that everyone was holy fuck, this game is insane. The character's wild.
Everyone was so fucking... Jinx was one of those characters that I feel like not that many people should have been excited for, but literally everyone was.
They lost their fucking skulls.
For real.
What's wrong with Jinx, though? If we want to break it down, I actually love her passive. I think her passive's awesome.
I love her passive too, yeah.
I love that it breaks attack speed cap. I love that it's I'm glad they made it so it works on epic monsters and turrets and not turrets, inhibitors and stuff now. It works on everything.
Yeah. This is gonna be kind of cop out, but I also don't think there's a lot that we need to change about Jinx.
What about her guns? How do you think of the gun balances between the two?
I love the gun balances because clearly the rocket is the superior weapon. Right,
longer
I don't
range,
think that's
more
a debate.
Damage.
Yeah, longer range, more damage, and in AOE, I think you obviously would love to stay in rocket form as long as you could, but having it drain mana is a fantastic way to gate that power behind something. And there are times when you do want to be in minigun form. You're hitting a turret, you don't want to be in. You're hitting a turret with no one around. You don't want to be in rocket form, but. I think her guns are really well done.
I love the revving up. I almost wish you revved up more than 3 times, but maybe that doesn't work in theory as well, or in practice as well.
I was gonna say you could. What you could do is allow her rev up to go from 3 stacks to really increase it, and then just make her getting excited cap her rev, right? She can rev up to 10 times. And getting excited gives you +5 or something.
Mm-hmm. That'd be pretty sweet.
That being said, I think Jinx is really, really, really good in everything. Pretty much, I think when they made her W cast faster based on attack speed was a very much needed change. I think they could potentially play around with just like the size and proc time of her E, but that's not really necessary.
I've never been upset by
really
her flame chompers. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
No, yeah.
I've been upset by Caitlyn traps plenty of times. I don't think I've ever been like, fucking dumb chompers fucked me.
Yeah, the only thing I would even actually say is turn off if they explode if they don't hit anything. Because, like, I've been playing a lot of Jinx recently, and, like, I'll throw out my E to zone somebody off a tower, and then they, like, explode when they're standing next to it, and it messes up the minions, but it also pulls aggro onto me. Because even if they never stepped in them, it'll still damage them. And, like, just let me use it as a zoning tool.
Her ult's fucking awesome, too.
Her ult's
awesome.
Badass. I stole a Baron with it today.
Nice, dude.
I love that it speeds up, like, multiple times. You know what I mean? Oh, it's so
It's got
cool.
stages.
Yeah. So this is unrelated to Jinx, but you just got me thinking. We never talked about this when we talked about Caitlyn. Should Caitlyn's Q scale with attack speed?
Yep.
I actually don't think so.
I don't think so
I think
either.
lower its damage and make it go. I'm fine with that. Like, I personally believe that there shouldn't be a state in the game where you don't cast your ability because it lowers your damage.
But I think for some characters there should be.
I disagree, is what I'm saying. I don't think that should be the case.
You don't think on like auto attack focused characters, their auto attack should be their primary source of damage late game?
That's not what I'm
Once
saying.
they have 6 items?
No, you're rephrasing it. I don't think that casting your abilities should lower your damage.
But, like, what about Kog'Maw, for example?
Like,
Kog'Maw, my argument is I think they should when
Yeah.
auto attacks are your primary source of damage, and your build focuses on stacking them throughout the entire game.
Like, I think Kog'Maw's a good
stacking the
example.
damage of it.
You definitely don't throw out your fucking ult, like, or your, I guess sometimes your E, but usually don't throw out your ult, like, when you're, like, full damage Kog'Maw gunning someone down, right?
Then you just right click and
And I feel like that's a good thing.
You do. And again, I think there are still purposes for his ult, and there are still purposes for Caitlyn Q. I don't want it to be crazy fast, but I think it could get slightly faster. Again, like her max damage. I guess I'm flip flopping here. Like, should if she's at 6 items, still be auto attacking a bunch, but it shouldn't be such a massive detriment to cast Q. Right? Like I'm
think it's
fine
fair.
with
Like,
it being a lower, but like it shouldn't be that it like halves your DPS for that second.
there should be a middle ground, right? Like, for example, Zap
Yeah.
probably still lowers your damage on Jinx for sure. But before it felt like dog shit to use, and Caitlyn Q right now feels like dog shit to use during fight.
At the very least, Zap has CC attached to it, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Sometimes
Is
you
Zap has a longer
even
range.
that's less damage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Colton's like right in some degree, Nick. Like, I don't think it's needed, but like if they like made it a little bit faster, that'd probably be fine. I think.
I feel like with Caitlyn specifically, it shouldn't, and I don't know why I feel that way. I don't have the words to describe it, but I don't. So I guess my comparison is Lucian, because Lucian's Q also reduces with cast time, but that makes sense because he feels like a spell slinging like Gunblade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the other option with Caitlyn is you just go in the entirely other direction, where you make it a longer range, a longer cast time, and do more damage.
Yeah, like in a sniper type mechanic, like
Right, where like again, and that's my thing. It's like she's either a sniper or she's not, and snipers don't take 4 shots a second. Like,
I mean, I don't know.
I'd be fine with them like I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm happy with it being like a long thing. Because if you hit it, it does a fucked amount of it. How much does Caitlyn? We're on Caitlyn on the Jinx episode, by the way. But like how much her Q does? Let me look right here. Yeah, it does fucking 210 plus 170% AD. Like, I think it's fine. I think it's fine actually. I think just you sit back and you can use it, but it probably lowers your damage if you don't hit someone.
yeah. Well, back to Jinx, because we already did talk about Caitlyn. I completely lost ourselves there. Anything else you want to do with Jinx? Perfect champ.
No, Jinx is a fantastic champion.
Should we give her more guns?
Is there anything else that she should get excited off of?
So she currently gets it off of Dragon,
Champions,
Baron,
Monsters,
Herald,
Turret.
Champions, Towers.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I think, again, if they wanted to make it where it's like you gain, let's say 5 stacks of her Q from a champion kill, then you could balance it a little bit where it's like 3 from a Dragon, 2 from like a, Herald or something. You could
Yeah, but there's nothing else, though, because like you wouldn't want it off like blue buff, red buff, right?
Well, you could make it like 1 or something, right? Or like you get like.
I see what you're saying. If you like had it like be like a larger scale, you could have.
If you made it
amounts.
more stacks, then you could differentiate and say like she gets 2 from killing a red buff, 5 for killing a dragon, 5 for killing a champion.
Yeah, I see.
Would Jinx get excited about killing red buff?
Probably not.
No.
Okay.
I do think
she might get revved up.
What if you killed
that's
Vi and
fair.
it gave her more?
True.
That'd be cool.
Hell yeah.
Why isn't that a mechanic?
What if she killed Caitlyn and she nutted?
True. Cool. I think that's Jinx.
That's definitely the play.
That's just kill Jinx and kill Caitlyn and nut. Good call, Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect champ.
Yes, that's the end of this episode.
impressed.
Next month, we'll be talking about the K character. Actually, we'll be doing half the K character because there's like 13 or something.
There's 1 billion K characters.
So we'll be talking about Kai'Sa, Callista, Karma, Karthus, Kassadin, Katarina, Kayle. And then the month after that, we'll be doing Kayn, Kennen, Kha'Zix, Kindred, Kled, and Kog'Maw.
Fuck, we got a lot of work cut out for us these next 2 months.
Where are the other where are the new characters? So Aphelios, we started this when Aphelios came out, I believe. Because we talked about the moon mechanic in the game. And then who came out after Aphelios? It was... I'm just trying to figure out if we missed anyone. Was it Set? List of champions. Release date. Aphelios, Set, Lilia, Yone, and Samira. So we haven't missed any yet.
Mm-mm.
And
and hopefully characters that come out won't need reworks.
Yeah.
Hopeful. I mean, but every character can do with a little love, right? Except for Jhin.
I mean, like, if we're going to talk about Yone, like, right now, like, I feel like there's stuff we could talk about. You know what I mean? He came out, like, 2 weeks ago. That's good.
Yeah. There definitely is, but, like, again, hopefully there's not much to talk about on a new character.
Yeah.
Other than 200 years of game design.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for listening. See you guys next month. Bye.
Bye.